Can I make a 5 sensory jealous as a 6 sensory? Well, you might think you have the right to do that because the 5 sensory is playing all kinds of tricks on you to get you jealous of them. They could be showing you texts, they could be flirting with the waitress or the staff person or hitting on another attractive person in the street, and it's very annoying. But if you try to go the other way as a 6 sensory and get revenge on the 5 sensory to make them jealous on purpose, you're probably not going to have a good experience. I know, it's not fair. Why do the 5 sensories get to play all the games? Why do they get to make other people insecure? And yet, if I try to play any games, they're just going to pull away. Well, first of all, the thing you need to be aware of with 5 sensories is they know the games inside and out, and they know them a lot better than you do as a 6 sensory. So 5 sensories, by their very nature, are the types that like to manipulate people to get what they want at times, and some are worse than others. If they're really bad, then you probably shouldn't be dating them, but sometimes a 5 sensory has just innocently surfed on a website momentarily that they really shouldn't have and picked up a game. And it's really like a one-time occurrence, or maybe 2 or 3 times throughout a very long-term relationship. And if that's the case, as a 6 sensory, I would just let it go. I would not consider it like a really serious form of abuse unless they are constantly doing it. But if you try to get revenge on them, what will happen is they likely know more games than you do, and then they'll start turning around and playing more games on you. And that's when things can get really abusive. I know, it's super annoying. In high school, I wanted to be the person who got revenge on these players, and I thought that I could do it by playing more games on them and by playing pranks and getting away with it. I was a very mischievous, precocious teenager, and I did get away with some stuff. Having said that, I learned that when you actually get revenge on a 5 sensory, what you're actually doing is giving them more validation for their bad behavior and more negative energy, which reinforces, hey, you know, it's a good thing to behave badly because the people I am interested in are also bad people, and so they deserve my bad behavior in the first place, and I'm just validating my whole existence as to why it's okay to behave badly. You see what I mean? You create justifications for them to behave even worse in the future. You're reinforcing their bad behavior. And that's why you don't want to play any games at all with 5 sensories. All you want to do is pull back when they're behaving badly. That is a perfectly valid response. If you take away their source of attention, their source of energy and amusement, it's kind of like a dead battery. Their behavior starts to feel boring because they're not getting any reaction from you as a 6 sensory. And ironically, when you don't give them any reaction, that's when you have the best chance of potentially transforming them. Now, there's no guarantee that they will transform. It's up to their free will. But when they see their manipulation tactics won't work, it will demotivate them from using them again. So don't be that person who's reinforcing them by trying to get revenge and get even with them. Doesn't work. What we need to model as wise leaders, instead of being so preoccupied on manipulating people to get what we want, is that we need to be a leader in being of service and being kind to society. And that should become the new cool thing to do. The cool thing to do should not be being a rock star and just having flings with as many people as possible, to put it politely. Unfortunately, that got modeled for people somewhere, and they thought it was super cool, so they decided to start putting people down to manipulate them and pick them up for a night and then move on to the next person and dispose of them, because that eliminates the risk of ever opening up in a relationship and potentially being vulnerable and getting abused or hurt. The problem with this model is that we're so preoccupied with getting the next you know what, is we're wasting time and energy in our precious lives. We're not improving the planet for the next generation. We're not saving the environment. We're not being kind to people in developing countries because we're too preoccupied in manipulating people around us and our own immediate surroundings. it's a big waste of time and a big waste of life. So what we need to do as sixth sensories is model a different way of life where the commitment is growth, number one, in ourselves, self-love, number two, where we're getting enough sleep and eating well, and then number three, contribution to society. These are the most important things in life, not manipulating other people into becoming one-night stands. So we need to worry about how we're leaving the planet as a civilization. We need to become leaders who take care of ourselves, so we show up as our best selves to these commitments that we're making to society. And we need to become people who grow, people who have interesting lives. It's okay to be fit. It's okay to spend time reading. It's okay to spend time traveling. These things take resources and money, and so do education, but they help you grow. They help you become the best version of yourself. And then you have something new to offer to your contributions in society. You have something new to offer to that vegetarian group that you've learned. You have something new to offer to your alumni community at your university because you've had an experience in another part of the world, in another part of your country that you can come back and share with them. This is what we need to dedicate our lives to, and this is what we need to focus on. And if we model that as six sensories to five sensories, and we put boundaries when they're trying to seduce us and put us down into a one-night stand for whatever reason, then they're going to get the message that not only their tactics don't work, but they're also wasting their time and their life. This is the standard that we need to be setting as a society, and we need to be so committed to it that we're not that bothered about our personal happiness. We're not that desperate to get married or couple off because we have more important things to do to help the world. And if we couple off, that's great, but it's not a need. It's not an absolute demand that we have to have that makes us potentially vulnerable to falling into the manipulations of a five sensory person.